welcome back. We are quite sure that episode 8 will keep you glued to the screen. You may laugh and smile so much that your cheeks hurt. Flying Shot Lake School is our focus. Here it is on the map.
Linda, we could call this the A&W episode, and you will soon see why. Just to give you some history of Flying Shot Lake School from Mary Nutting's book, we have Misha Albert entertaining us.
Flying Shot Lake was originally a Métis settlement, the first surveyed portion of the Grande Prairie district. Maud Westcott Clifford, who arrived there in 1906, is credited with being the first teacher, both for her own and the Métis children at Flying Shot Lake. The Flying Shot School District was formalized July 26, 1916, and the school opened in a low log building on the Clifford Place in 1917. This building, originally a Métis cabin, had been used as a parsonage by Reverend and Mrs. Forbes in 1910, and then as the first courthouse in the Grande Prairie area in 1912. In 1920, a new school was built west of the old school site on Dan Owen's land. It was open during the summer months and closed during the coldest part of the winter. By the early 1930s, the school year was more normal. Flying Shot Lake had a drama club, which put on plays in the school and sometimes performed in other communities. The whole student body participated in the school fair, held in the Grande Prairie Theatre the second week of September. Seeds were given out by the Department of Agriculture in the spring to be planted and cared for by the students during the summer months. Besides garden produce, categories also included sewing, knitting, leaf and weed collections, canning, baking, penmanship, maps, and art. The prize money for some families, especially during the Depression, bought their winter clothing. During the 1930s, enrollment at the school ranged between 24 and 32 students in grades 1 to 9. And in 1941, a teacherage was added to the site. In 1947, Lucky Tree School District was formed west and south of the Flying Shot School to accommodate the growing population in the district. Flying Shot School was once again moved east onto Lot 16 of the Flying Shot Lake settlement, close to the original site. The 1949 inspection report showed a 20-foot by 40-foot school in fair shape with a 46-inch barrel heater and a full brick chimney, a 10-foot by 18-foot teacherage, and a 20-foot by 24-foot barn on a concrete foundation and outbuildings. Enrollment at Flying Shot Lake School declined during the early 1950s, and when the new county school opened in 1956, students were bused to Harry Belfer School.
That was so interesting to hear about Maud Clifford in several of our readings. We have a school in Grande Prairie named after her, and now I know why she was so deserving of this honor. And have we got a special treat for you?
That's right. We filmed this in the North End A&W in Grande Prairie. 4 former students from Flying Shot Lake School reminisce together about the fun experiences they had and the challenges they faced while attending that one-room school.
My name is Emily Jabs, and now I'm Emily Isley. I went to school from 1953 to 1955, I believe, grades 3 to grade 5.
Name's Wayne Davies. I went from grades 1 to 3 My name is Hubert Tissington. I went to flying shot from grade 1 to grade 9. I started in 1947 and went till 56.
My name is Ken Popwich, and I went to school in Flying Shot Lake for 2 years, grades 1 and 2.
I know the school was named after Flying Shot Lake, but I wonder why the lake is called Flying Shot Lake. Let's listen to find out if the group knows the answer.
The story I heard anyway was the indigenous people said the ducks had to be flying off the lake because there's no bottom in Flying Shot Lake. It's just a mud hole
Couldn't
because
go
they
up there to
couldn't
retrieve them,
go
right?
up
Yeah.
to retrieve them. So they called it Flying Shot.
Well, I can remember going to school with this because we had moved from Fairview, and it was 3.5 miles away that I had to go to school. And so Mr. Deering gave my dad a Shetland to use for me to go to school. So I rode it to school, quite anxious about it, and got there, and somehow it got me there. But going home, there was sort of a little hill there by Flying Shot, and it stumbled.
Oh.
Well, I was not going to get back on it, and Lynn and Lorraine Ross had to ride it home, and I walked the
Oh.
3.5 miles home. That was my experience going to school at Flying Shot.
You know, that very hill that you just mentioned, that fits into the proverbial walking to school and back uphill both ways.
Both ways.
Which it was. You had to walk up and
Yeah.
over the hill,
That's
going,
right.
and up and over the hill, coming back.
Yeah.
And in those days, they never graded the road. The snow just was,
Yeah.
and I was just a little guy. I can remember trying to step in the horse tracks, and I had to stretch pretty good to get
No
in.
doubt, yeah.
And then we used to walk through my granddad's farm, and then I don't know what happened there, but he got mad and he wouldn't let us go through there anymore because we left the gates open or something, and the cows all got out.
Oh,
And so we had to walk through the bush and over to the next road and then up the road. We used to try and get there as the Sinclair boys were going to school, and they had horses, and then they'd always give us a ride. So that was nice.
Yeah.
I remember the first time the health unit came out that I was in school to give the vaccinations.
Oh, yeah.
And the same needle, everybody
Oh.
get the jab, yeah, and then they
Dip it
clean
in
it off with a
alcohol or
little
something.
alcohol.
Yeah,
and
they-
the next one.
Yeah,
And,
oh yeah.
She got to me, I was about 5th or 6th or 8th on that list of that needle, and it broke off, and the skin
Oh.
folded over top of the needle, so she had to wiggle the skin
Oh,
around and get
wow.
the needle sticking out.
Oh, that must have been
grade 1.
a little
Yeah.
painful, was it?
Oh yeah, it didn't feel good. Yeah,
No fun.
it's a little
it was
different.
probably
now.
for polio that we got the shot.
Oh, we got for everything.
Yeah.
Everything going,
And
whatever.
smallpox
Yeah.
and-
Question for you: was there power, electricity in that
No.
school?
No.
No.
What was lighting it? Like what? Lanterns? Like
No, there was
the window.
windows.
The windows, yeah.
There was only
'Cause that's
during the
why-
bright
To the
day and-
east.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why they'd start at 9:30 in the winter. Remember,
Yeah.
we wouldn't go to school till 9:30 and get out at
About 3:30 probably or 4.
yeah,
maybe.
yeah,
Yeah.
Because I know it was a lot shorter in the winter than it
Was
was
we make up for it later on?
in the summer. We
6
had
o'clock in the morning.
11 o'clock. We had to go.
Yeah. Did we ever get cod liver oil pills? It
Yeah.
Seems to me.
Oh,
seems
yeah.
to me.
I
I
remember
remember those.
taking
Oh, those things are. I couldn't swallow them, and I had to bite them.
Oh, gee. That's worse.
Oh.
Oh yeah, it was terrible taste.
The coating on them even tasted bad.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, it just,
But somehow we all stayed healthy.
well,
Yeah,
We're all
yeah.
still here, so I guess
Yeah.
some of us are.
in spite of the needle, single needle.
The
and,
good-looking ones.
Yeah.
I remember the wintertime though. That little bit of a hill of school sat
Oh,
on
yeah.
it, and you guys would get the big blocks of snow, and I don't know how the heck you lifted them, and built up a ramp higher, so it was we had an extra 4 feet or something a hill.
Oh, yeah.
Slid
Slide
down,
down there.
Yeah.
We even had a slide off the barn.
Oh, did you?
The other
I
side
don't
of the
remember
barn, so the teacher couldn't see us. And we used to get up on the barn and then toboggan down, and we had a slope off the barn. Yeah, that was
That
good
was-
until somebody got hurt, and then
Yeah.
the teacher would come out. That was the end of
Yeah.
all
Oh,
that.
you get hurt. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
And also parties. We had a Valentine's party, and I came.
Yeah.
And your mom was quite upset because it was like 40 below, and she said, "Why are you coming to school today? It's so cold."
Well, you're here. I figured I should jump.
Yeah, was there a temperature limit that we didn't go to school, or did
It
we
was
just go to
40.
school every
It was
day?
40, but not everybody had a thermometer.
Yeah, I
I
suppose.
guess.
So you just go to school.
Yeah.
And dressed warm, and
Yeah.
We never even knew what wind chill was then. They didn't even
Well,
talk
no.
about
No,
that.
yeah. Wasn't invented yet.
No.
but one of the things that I think has diminished from our school system is cursive writing. Okay,
Oh,
we
yeah.
used to have to write lines,
Yeah.
A's
Yeah.
and B's, whole pages of them,
Yeah.
just so that our writing would be nice.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
you look at kids writing, and you sometimes can't even read it because it's so bad.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
yeah.
it's not, from what I understand anyway, the writing isn't taught in school.
No.
They learn how to use their computer, and
Yeah.
And type and
Writing isn't so
It's all-
critical and so
God
necessary.
help us if we ever have a crash of all computers.
it happens.
Your till goes down, they can't even write a
No.
receipt out by hand. So,
No.
yeah.
If the power goes off, then the store has to close. because-
Exactly.
Yeah, it has to
Yeah.
close. Yeah.
I can't do.
I can remember us having a pie social, and my mom wouldn't make the pie, so I made the pie,
Uh-oh.
and Tom bought
Oh, is that right?
it. And the crust was this.
Well, that was good.
Yeah, we used to have pie socials. I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had a pie social in Harry Mulford in grade 9, and my wife tells a story. But she said she had to make this pie at home because her mother told her she had to. So she's going to the bus, and the pie flips upside down in the container.
Uh-oh.
She had it in a box. So she just tipped it back up, brought it to school, and I bought it.
Well, maybe we should organize a pie social.
Yeah.
That's
On
a
behalf
Out
of
of
it.
Dimsdale Hall there.
good
Yeah.
idea.
But we also had box socials too. where
Oh
you-
yes,
Yeah.
yeah, but
Yeah.
the lunches, yes,
Yeah.
yeah. I remember one or two of those.
Great for us
Yeah,
four to get
it's-
together
Yeah.
and talk about flanges, because I haven't talked about flanges at school for
No, that's right.
man for
Ever.
70 years.
Yeah.
And we
Yeah.
haven't seen each other for
No,
many
for-
years.
Yeah,
No.
exactly. Yeah.
We just meet each other once in a while and say hello and
Yeah.
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 Well, I think the value of doing this type of a production would be that our families, mine in particular, I talk about riding to school, and my kids don't understand what was involved in all
Yeah.
that. They just don't get it because they rode the bus,
Mhm.
and you know, no big deal to them because they got on, it was warm.
Yeah.
But I kind of regret that we didn't have this kind of production earlier,
Yeah.
because the more people you get involved with the memories, I think the more value you're going to get out of
Yeah.
it. Because
Yeah.
what the four of us remember is probably pretty small.
Pretty small,
Yeah. Yeah.
Compared to what, as a for instance, my mother who went to the first flying shot school, what
Yeah.
she would have remembered.
Yeah. Which would have even been less modern than what we remember. Even.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like, yeah.
But to me, this is just like a history book. So
Yeah.
you know, you need to have history,
Yeah.
and I think it's good.
Yeah, like nowadays we talk, like I talk to some like my grandchildren and say, you know, when I was a kid, we didn't have power in our house, we didn't have lights.
Yeah.
We had an outdoor toilet, which that flying shot school had. Too.
Yeah.
And they and no telephones.
No.
You know, they kind of look
They get-
sideways and no telephone. You know,
Yeah.
I've got one in my pocket,
Yeah.
and I'm only 6 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, all that like electricity, it's all we take that all for granted now.
Yeah.
For granted. Yeah.
I remember when the power came, when the phone came,
Yeah.
and it just
It was
and you
magic.
brought-
It
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Party line.
It was
party
great.
line.
Well, even that though was amazing. Just
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
there
yeah.
was 20.
Hard to believe that you could talk to somebody else, you know,
Yeah,
without
Yeah.
face to face.
Yeah.
I think there's 21 or something on our line.
Yeah,
Can't remember.
something like
it was
that.
A lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And milk came from a cow, and you could deliver it in town and
Exactly.
give
Yeah.
it to everybody. Now you have to have it
Oh,
pasteurized and
yeah.
homogenized, and
Yeah.
what else do you do with it? But
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I think it's a good idea, but I don't think they believe it anyway.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
the one room school concept is pretty tough to take, considering what they go through now. I mean,
Yeah,
you go into a school and there's 3 rooms of grade 7.
Yeah, there's so many people, yeah.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
They I don't think they can get their heads around how few people there was back when we started
Yeah,
school.
exactly, yeah.
You know,
And I think the level of teaching has, increased a lot. Like what they learn today is a lot more than we did when we were going to school.
well, just
Like,
We could organize a flying shot reunion like we have.
Mhm.
You have family reunions, but why
Yeah.
not have a flying shot one like?
yeah. Anybody that was at Flying Shot Lake
Yeah.
school.
School,
yeah.
yeah.
and if we
families
don't
or
do
whatever.
it soon,
There won't be anybody.
there won't
yeah.
be,
Won't be anybody left, yeah.
no. And even now, I'm not sure
I'm
how
not
many
sure.
there are
Yeah.
either. So,
Yeah.
but I agree.
Yeah, it would be really, and we could maybe they have pictures and stuff that
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
of us don't have. And
Well,
we could
I'm sure there's memories out there that we haven't
even touched
Yeah,
on.
such
experienced.
a-
Well, we haven't even experienced them. So.
Yeah.
That was the thing back then. Pictures are few and hard to come by.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
for sure.
It is so wonderful to see these 4 seniors laughing together as they relive their childhood adventures at Flying Shot Lake School. I agree with them that sharing our memories of the one-room school with our children and grandchildren is so important. I think this production is a great start, don't you, Beth?
Absolutely. And here is some exciting news. These 4 are already planning a reunion of alumni from Flying Shot Lake School for this summer. I hope that many other groups of alumni from other one-room schools will also plan reunions soon.
Can you believe that we have only 2 episodes left to create? We have learned so much about so many things, and I almost hate to see this project end.
I feel the same way. These last 2 episodes will capture the essence of growth in the Peace Country. Communities were growing and consolidation of the one-room schools into larger towns and cities made sense.
I hope you will all join us as we share these very interesting episodes. Bring your friends and family. The young ones might not believe all the changes in the last 100 years.
We acknowledge that we live and film on Treaty 8 territory, the ancestral and present-day home to many diverse First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people. We are grateful to work, live, and learn on the traditional territory of Duncan First Nation, Horse Lake First Nation, and Sturgeon Lake Cree Nation, who are the original caretakers of this land. We acknowledge the history of this land, and we are thankful for the opportunity to walk together in friendship, where we will encourage and promote positive change for present and future generations.
That is a very special and meaningful statement for us and for our project.